Every morning, a Jeep marked HOA security blocked our ranch gate, flashing lights, fake badges, and threats to inspect our land. Grandpa warned them once. The next day, he brought out his old tractor, hooked their Jeep to a chain, and turned their authority into twisted scrap metal. When you live miles outside town, peace becomes part of your bones. Our ranch sat on 400 acres of dryland prairie. No neighbors, no traffic, just wind, horses, and the faint hum of crickets at night. But lately, peace was something we didn't have. It started when the new Willow Creek Estates HOA expanded eastward. The developers built fancy homes near the county line, claiming shared access rights to old ranch roads. They never asked permission. They just started acting like they owned the area. One morning, I headed to the front gate to ride into town and stopped dead. A black Jeep Wrangler sat blocking the entrance. Hazard lights blinking. HOA security printed on the side in white vinyl letters. Two men stood beside it. Khaki uniforms, mirrored sunglasses, and plastic badges that looked straight out of a costume shop. I rolled down my truck window. "Can I help you?" The taller one stepped forward. "Sir, we're conducting routine property checks. HOA has reports of zoning violations on this parcel." I blinked. "You're on private land." "This isn't part of your HOA," he smirked. "We'll determine that." "You'll need to keep this gate unlocked for inspection access." I laughed out loud. "Inspection access? You clowns are trespassing." The shorter one scribbled something on a pad. "Refusal to comply may result in fines." "Fines from who?" I snapped. He pointed to the HOA logo on his Jeep like it was a badge of law. That's when Grandpa rolled up on his ATV, cigarette in hand, slow and silent like an old sheriff. He was 78 and didn't say much, but when he did, people listened. "What's this circus?" he asked, voice gravelly. "They're fake cops, Grandpa. Say they're here from the HOA." Grandpa squinted at them. "Son, this is Henderson Ranch. HOA doesn't apply past County Road 12. The taller man puffed his chest. "Sir, failure to comply will escalate to enforcement action." Grandpa looked at me and smirked. "Enforcement, huh?" He pointed at the sign nailed to our gatepost. "Private property. No trespassing." Then he leaned close and said, low enough that it chilled me, "Next time you park here, boys, you won't be driving that Jeep home." They left, but not for long. The next morning, the Jeep was back, and the next. Every single day, they parked across our gate, taking photos, jotting violations, pretending to patrol. That third morning, Grandpa just stared at them from the porch, coffee steaming in his hand. Then he muttered, "All right, guess they want to play." When Grandpa says, "I've got a plan," it's never gentle. He spent 40 years in the Army Corps of Engineers and another 20 running heavy equipment. The man could disassemble a bulldozer with a hammer and a curse. That night, after the Jeep blocked us again, he disappeared into the barn. I heard metal clanging, chains rattling, and that old diesel growl that meant something big was being prepared. I peeked in. He was greasing up his 1968 Case tractor, rusted but unstoppable. "What are you doing, Grandpa?" He grinned. "Teaching some folks what private property means." The next morning, before sunrise, the Jeep was there again. Same two men, this time sitting inside with coffee, headlights pointed at the gate. Grandpa drove the tractor right down the gravel path, slow and steady. The men got out, annoyed. "Sir, you're interfering with an HOA operation," one shouted. Grandpa didn't even respond. He stopped 5 feet from the Jeep, killed the engine, and stepped down, boots crunching on the gravel. He took a length of industrial tow chain from the tractor and walked toward the Jeep. What are you doing?" the tall one asked. "Clearing my gate," Grandpa said flatly. "Sir, that's property damage." "No," Grandpa corrected, "that's property defense." He hooked the chain around the Jeep's front axle, climbed back into the tractor, and revved the engine. The men started shouting, scrambling toward their doors. "Hey! That's illegal! Stop!" Grandpa looked at me through the windshield, gave a wink, and eased the clutch. The chain went taut, then snap. The Jeep's front end lifted off the ground as the old Case tractor pulled forward, dragging it sideways across the gravel like it weighed nothing. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. Grandpa didn't stop until he reached the far end of our fence line, 100 yards away, where he unhooked the chain, leaving the mangled Jeep half buried in dust and sagebrush. Then he waved at the fake cops, who were standing in disbelief. "Now," he said calmly, "get it off my land." They didn't say a word. One called someone on the radio, voice shaking. The other stared at Grandpa like he'd just witnessed a legend. Within an hour, a tow truck came and hauled the Jeep away, its HOA security decal peeling. Tires flat, front bumper gone. That afternoon, the county sheriff himself showed up. He knew Grandpa. They'd served together years ago. The sheriff looked over the tracks, then at Grandpa. "Heard you had some trouble." "Couple fellas claiming to be law," Grandpa said. "Didn't look like any law I know," the sheriff chuckled. "You're not wrong. County's been getting reports about fake HOA enforcers shaking people down near the new estates. You just saved us a job," he turned to me. "We'll handle it from here." As he drove off, Grandpa muttered, "They won't be back," and he was right. The next week was quiet, peaceful again, until Thursday. A black SUV pulled up, and a woman in a blazer stepped out, HOA emblem pinned on her chest. Behind her were 2 county deputies. She called out, "Mr. Henderson, I represent Willow Creek Estates HOA. I've been informed your father destroyed our security vehicle." Grandpa walked up slow, wiping grease from his hands. "That wasn't your vehicle. It was a fake. It had our logo," she snapped. "Those men were under contract." "Got their names?" he asked. She hesitated. Their supervisor handled it. They were part of a compliance task group. The sheriff's SUV rolled in right then. Same one as before. He stepped out and greeted Grandpa with a nod. "Morning, ma'am," the sheriff said. "We ran those plates. That Jeep wasn't registered to your HOA, or anyone in this county. It was a shell company running unauthorized patrols." The woman went pale. "That can't be—" He handed her a folder. "It's all there. Your task group was illegally impersonating law enforcement. You might want to have your lawyers look at that before talking about property damage." Grandpa crossed his arms, satisfied. "Told you, lady. This here's ranch land, not your playground." The sheriff looked back at Grandpa and said quietly, "You could have called me first, you know." Grandpa smiled. "And miss the fun?" They both laughed. The HOA rep stormed off, muttering threats of legal action, but nothing ever came of it. Within a month, Willow Creek Estates quietly dropped their security program. Their fake officers disappeared. As for Grandpa, he welded a piece of that Jeep's bumper to a metal sign and bolted it to the gate. It read, "Private ranch, trespassers will be towed or worse." Every visitor who saw it burst out laughing. That sign's still there today, sun-faded and proud, a trophy of Grandpa's one-man HOA takedown. And whenever someone asks about it, Grandpa just grins and says, "They parked. I recycled."